Hey everyone, I'm Corey Rennie, the unemployable counselor, and I have a special treat tonight. There's been so much talk about homelessness and all of those social issues that are impacting Prince Albert, and if you follow me in my online activity, you'll see it can cause a bit of a ruffle, but as my dad said, if you're not pissing someone off, you're probably not doing your job. So here we are. So I want to break in tonight by talking about the three mayor interviews I did with the incumbent, Dionne, and the two challengers, Bill Powalinsky and Brittany Marie Smith. Well, I decided to create a little video where I have each of their answers regarding homelessness and how they feel they can solve the issue. And I'm going to submit that for people who want to check it out and see what the compilation is and get their take and even compare and contrast between the other individuals. That's up to you, but I just want to make sure everyone has an informed decision. And this goes for everyone, even internet trolls, man. You have a voice. Go vote, right? You can only do so much behind a keyboard, but unless you actually go out and physically do something about it, like vote or attend a forum or do something to get your view out, then that's where we're at. So I encourage everybody to make an informed decision, vote. Check out the early voting this weekend at the Alfred Jenkins Center, and in the meantime, sit back. We're going to start with Bill Powalinsky, then we're going to go to Brittany Marie Smith, and then we're going to finish up with Mayor Dionne. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and share. It really helps us out. And yeah, take care, and we'll see you in the middles. New ideas and different takes and whatnot. You mentioned one thing in a previous question, talking about all the social issues, and with your experience working with mental health and that. With the homeless population, especially around not just downtown, but more of our busier areas. You look at some of the box stores, in Cornerstone, and then you have downtown and up on the hill there on 2nd Avenue. There is, it seems like, a large population of street people and street workers out there. So if you became mayor, what would you do to assist that population? Or I should say, what would you do to how would you handle that situation, I guess?
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
Well, that's a really good question. I'll now go back and maybe take a step back to talk about the city's primary function is to provide police services, infrastructure, and improvements to the physical aspects of the city. However, we can't ignore a significant sector of our population who are unhoused, and we can't ignore the fact that this creates some challenges for business and for neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So we've got to balance this. I feel that what people have told me on the doorstep is that they want to see mayor and council front and center, not working behind the scenes, but front and center on facilitating growth and improvement. Okay. And I do have a bias as to where I feel shelter should be located. It's evidence-based research that drives it. The thing that we need to look at, Corey, is that we've relied on one agency to really step up and do great community work, and they're currently working on putting in a shelter, but we have a gap. And I've worked with Restorative Justice Committee. We've been at least in touch with them. When people come out of the correctional system, they come out of remand, and they have nowhere to go. They have no money. They have nothing to support themselves with. So they're unhoused, and they're likely to repeat and go back to jail. We have people with barriers that cause them to maybe not be allowed into a shelter, or maybe they're evicted. They maybe can't live at Homeward Bound, and that's.
Hey, Bill had a lot of really cool things to say, and he had a really unique vision of the city. I encourage everyone to check out the video in its entirety on my YouTube channel if you haven't already. But yeah, go make an informed decision. Coming up next, we have Brittany Marie Smith. Brittany, just like Bill, she has a unique vision of what she would like to see Prince Albert morph into, and what we can do with PA currently, and how we can look at the homeless issues and what she thinks they could do to assist that process and make it better tomorrow for everybody. So check out the part with Brittany Marie Smith right now.
being in and out of that and seeing it, and actually even giving families houses, giving people chances, that's actually part of what's going to solve the homeless issue.
Yeah.
Now you can't put, some people just actually can't go into a house.
No, fair enough.
You know, at this
Yeah.
point in their life, and I'd
Yeah.
love to see them, like one of the programs that I should work with partnerships on people who are experts
Yeah.
with addictions and homeless, is how do we make these people so they can be independent a little bit more and live, and even if it requires a little supervision, because there is a lot of vacant houses that could have people in them if the landlords had the backing from the city. And I don't blame the current mayor, because he is not a certified realtor. There's no way he would have the qualifications or know what to do in this situation, because he's not a realtor and he hasn't been in it day in and day out. So when people complain about that, I would actually venture to say he just doesn't have the qualifications to deal with that. And it's not his fault that this city went with that.
Yeah.
And secondly, of course, safety.
Yeah.
And I said homeless, addictions, crime and safety.
Yeah.
The crime and safety thing, I have some really unique approaches to, because I've already tested them on properties, right? But so I think those are the biggest concerns. Downtown, too. People are, there's a lot of concerns about downtown. But
it is, and no, you're right. And I think too, you mentioned COVID a little earlier. I found when COVID hit, it seemed like the homeless population just jumped out of the roof. Like you go downtown, and even like you go up 2nd Avenue, and that's what I mean. And you hit a lot of good points too. There's the mental health and addictions factor. There's some folks that just, you know, either because of all the bridges that have been burned or whatever, just can't do that. So that was a very cool interview with Brittany Smith. Again, check out her full interview on my YouTube page, The Unemployable Counselor, to find out more about her and her platform and just what makes her tick. And finally, we're going to go with Mayor Greg Dionne. Mayor Greg Dionne sat down, we had a conversation. Homelessness, addiction, mental health came up. He has an interesting take on things. So I encourage you to just watch this snippet, and if it spurs your curiosity, check out the full interview on my YouTube channel, The Unemployable Counselor. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you when it's done. Thank you.
People get furious about that because you want to have a clean city.
Yeah.
You know, they're going through the garbage bins, looking for bottles, throwing out the garbage. They're taking cardboard and sleeping in overnight, and then they leave it right in that spot, and the next night go get new. So then people always see it as garbage, and they relate it to the homelessness. So it gives them another taint that they're dirty.
Well, it does, and I mean, like we had posted a video because we have there's that chain link fence behind the big box stores.
Yes.
And my son and I will walk that, and go, back and forth through the gate there. And there wasn't a gate. Then a week later, there was a gate locked up. And the next week, there's a huge giant hole cut up in that fence. And there's a bunch of them. It seems like every access point is done. And it's not everyone that's doing that, but it's the fact that it's those folks that, where I used to live on the hill, the guys who go through my garbage all the time. It's like, look, just put it back, okay? Like, I'm not, we're not mad, but they don't. It's just a huge mess. And they got to clean up, and people are like, okay, we got to do something about this. Then they all kind of get painted with that brush. So I can understand the frustration, especially with shelters. I can understand the viewpoint. It's maybe not beside my house, right? But at the same time, right, we have to do something that's gonna work for them and the city, right? So imagine as mayor, that's a tightrope to walk sometimes, hey, because
it's a tightrope, and I am a very moral person, and so I'm not gonna vote for a shelter in your neighborhood if you don't want it. We're elected by the people, and we're to listen to the people.
Yeah.
So when the people, you have a public meeting, and that's why we always do it. Everyone says, Greg, why do you have these public meetings? Well, you want to keep the public informed, you want their opinion, because that's who elects you.
And if they want to say something, hey man, this is a chance to exercise your voice.
And if they say no, sorry, it's no. I do believe we have other options for a homeless shelter, but the provincial government who funds it has complained that one of the areas there's no services, so it'd be an extra $1 million to bring those services in. So they didn't want that location. Well, at the end of the day, we may be forced to that location, where there is nobody and no services, and bring it in, because that's maybe the only one that's successful.
Well, and that's the part that doesn't get talked about very often, because it's sort of just, we'll get them this place and it'll be good, okay, but there's the cost associated. It's not necessarily housing them there, it's what happens if the ambulance has to get there, what happens if police services, right? There's all those community things if they can't reach there, or even if they have to, even the city putting water in or so, you know what I mean? There's a cost to all that stuff.
Well, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I just don't want a shelter. I want a shelter where there's 5 offices, so there's an addiction counselor there. You know, there's a mental health counselor there. Because we have to work with them and deal with them, see if we can house them, see if we can get them cured, see if we can get them on the right track.
Well, you're surrounding like a wraparound service.
Yes,
for these
that's a
people.
perfect good way to do it. Because the way it's working today, it's not working. You know, and we are hopeful. The province has tried a project in North Battleford, and we've applied for it. It's called the drug court. And what it is,
Yes.
and it's the judge and everything that are trained on addictions. So that's kind of neat. And what's neat about it is that if you don't want to go to a treatment center, then you're going to get ordered by the court. And it's sad that we have to do that, but you know, it's like an alcoholic. Till they admit they have a problem, they're not going to get cured. Well, that's the same thing with addiction people, but a lot worse. And then the other thing is there's going to be 30 days is not enough.
No.
You know, they're going to try a pilot project with 90 and see if that works. But I've had some friends of mine where their kids were highly addicted, and they sent them to institutes in Edmonton, Calgary, and they ended up staying there a year before they were cured. You know, because it's not a same. But then the other problem you have is once you get them cured, is you got to get them out the rut that they were in, because lots of times they return back to their home community with their friends that fed them the drugs in the first place.
It's true. I agree, because I think like 28-day program was mostly right. If you include detox, you're looking at 35, and the crystal meth alone, you're still like, even if you don't use for a month, you're still getting that impact there. And that was a really good interview. He spoke at length about his view and how he views the shelter issue in Prince Albert and all those sorts of factors as well. A whole host of other things that you can see if you check out his full interview on my YouTube channel, Unemployable Counselor. So that's it, folks. If you stayed to the end, thank you very much. And again, like, share, subscribe, share it with your friends, get the word out, make an informed decision, and vote on November 13th. Take care, let's be nice to each other, and kindness isn't weakness. I think there's a lot of people that think the opposite, but nah, it doesn't do anything to be nice, and who knows, you might make a new friend. All right, take care, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Go vote.